Hi, welcome to the passage for tomorrow, Pentecost Sunday, which is the usual one, which is Acts 2, verses 1 to 21. Well, you'll be aware of the fact that the disciples have enjoyed the highs and lows of, I suppose, the beginning of a new relationship with God. After the resurrection, when they all thought things couldn't get any worse, Jesus appeared to them eventually, and some saw him ascend into heaven, and you'd think they'd be very encouraged by that. In John's Gospel, they appear to be locked in a room because they're frightened of what the authorities might do to them. In the Acts passage, they're again in an upper room and presumably praying together, waiting, I think, for something. And then it happens, big time. The Holy Spirit seems to come and move in that room, and it's as though tongues of fire appeared over each and every one of them, and they became equipped. They became, basically, to coin a phrase, on fire for God. They couldn't keep their faith to themselves anymore, so they went outside and preached to the congregation. Peter especially was emboldened to preach and share the gospel to the assembled crowd, and thousands came to Christ because of what Peter had to say. And moreover than that, each person who was in that crowd from many different nations seemed to understand what was being said by the disciples and by Peter. It's as though they were speaking in their own tongues. So what's the message for us? As Peter explains the Pentecost phenomena, he relates the Joel prophecy. In the Old Testament, in the last days it will be, God declares, that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh and on your sons and daughters, and they shall prophesy. So we as a church, the people, we have a message. The gift of the Holy Spirit is ultimately a gift, not just for each one of us, but it's a gift to share with the whole world. Through the Holy Spirit, we are giving a voice and a message to proclaim so that the whole world will hear and receive the good news of Jesus Christ. I'm fairly confident that we want to be a Pentecost church. We want to know the power of the Holy Spirit among us. And so we open ourselves to the Holy Spirit and ask him to bless us here so that we can be a blessing to the whole community and beyond. It's just an opportunity to do that in church would be great, but you can ask the Holy Spirit to come now in power and to equip you and encourage you where you are. After all, the Holy Spirit is, or one of the names of the Holy Spirit is Comforter, one who comes alongside. In the beginning, the Spirit touched the waters of creation and life came. The Spirit spoke through the prophets and life came. The Spirit overshadowed the womb of Mary and life came. The Spirit touched the dead body of Jesus and life came. The Spirit comes upon the bread and the wine of the altar and life comes. Jesus says, "Come, be with me, and I will put my Spirit within you." As I mentioned, the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, the one who comes alongside, ensures that we are in safe hands. So no matter how bad the news on any given day, no matter how threatened our lives are on a given day, no matter how intimidating the neighbourhood or global bully, no matter how unjust and cruel a situation, and no matter how omnipotent our anger and hatred, no matter how bad COVID-19 appears to get, we know ultimately that these things will come to an end and love and goodness will reappear and ultimately triumph. Jesus taught that the source of all life and being is benign and loving. He promised too that our end will be benign and loving. So in the resurrection of Jesus, God showed that God has the power to deliver on that promise. Goodness and love will triumph. The ending of our story, both that of our world and that of our individual lives, is already written, and it's a happy ending. We are already saved. Goodness is guaranteed. Kindness will meet us. The Holy Spirit, God's Spirit, comes alongside us. We only need to live in the face of that wonderful truth. Goodness cannot be killed. The Spirit cannot be quenched. It comes alongside and wants to help. Believe it. And so with empty hands I pray, come Holy Spirit, breathe and love and pray in us, in me, and never stop. Amen.